one of you. And before we get into this evening's live, just a few opening words here on what we're seeing in the market. I'd like to really thank all of you for putting your trust, putting some time, and taking the opportunity to try to learn further, not just cryptocurrency, but trying to identify maybe some of the technical analysis that you would need to trade, not just this type of asset, but just trading in general. I know a lot of you, including myself, we're trying to better ourselves. We have the same mindset philosophy of we want abundance for all, not abundance for I. We have positivity over negativity in this community. We are winners. We are not victims. We do not make fun of each other. We try to, in fact, encourage each other and share the knowledge we have at no cost, except our personal time. And that goes for everybody in the community as well. Just as much as you might have gotten help from me, please help some of the newer people if you've been in here and are a seasoned veteran and you understand the way things work. And maybe they might not have the knowledge that you do have, and now you can start to pay it forward with the knowledge you've gained. So, first, I'll welcome some of you. And I had a travel day today, so I'm a little tired. I had to go 5 hours back home. Glad to be home, but at the same time, it was nice where we were at too. But it was time to come home. But as usual, I like to work and I like to stay in the loop. And today was a very big day. Some people bash their head through the wall while other people are smiling ear to ear saying, oh my God, I just seen a validation on top of a validation here. And it comes in the inverse pattern setup. And I'll explain it deeper. But let me say hello to a few early entries here. Dan Marginal, Mike B., Jesse, and David Hoff. Thank you all four of you for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge and me being abducted by aliens. A lot of names there that I'm getting to know deeper and deeper in the Telegram too. I love it. Jesse, we were just talking a little while ago. Dan, I've gotten to know a lot better. Jason's been in there a long time. Jason Whipple, thank you so much for being in Tom's Army for over 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. Also, Big Dog, thank you as well for 3+ months. I just appreciate this audience so very much. We have the ability to do something here together and see so much stuff. It's amazing. It's simply amazing. And I'm going to go deeper into BAN today, to the BAN protocol, now that we had a 15% drop. Well, I mean, I somewhere around 15, 14 still. I want to talk a little bit more about exactly what that is today, too. And right off the top of my head, I can tell you that it may not be an IoT token, but it has the IoT capability to connect the smart contracts with the the smart devices and so on and so forth, the things that are needed for them, the Internet of Things, for the connectivity and data transfer and yada, yada, yada. But there's so much more for BAN. I mean, it's got 164 million tokens in circulation. The max tokens is like 164.26 million. It also plays into the AI. It can transfer data between basically the blockchain. I'll get into it because it basically what it comes down to is it can allow, and this is something cool on top of just being, it can do the connectivity to the the smart applications and smart. But what it does is something a little bit deeper. It can allow data to be received, external data, from the blockchain. It is able to get it through the smart contract. So it allows the blockchain to get the external data through smart contracts, which is a big thing. It's also a governance token too from the BAN protocol. But there's, I don't know why I don't talk about certain things deeper, but I can only talk about so much, but it is on my list and it's been for some time. UK Phil, welcome along with Mark Cass, and thank you both for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year now with the I Told You So badge, along with Man and his dog. Beautiful. Thank you guys so much for over a year. Tanya May, welcome in, love, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the XRP 589 Moon badge. How beautiful is it that you're in here? It's going to be a good day. Tanya knows opportunity. IQ, welcome in, William. Yes, you do. William not only helps out enormously, which is IQ William, but he also gives us our daily prayer weekly, which is amazing and incredible in the Telegram. If you're not in the Telegram, you are truly missing out. Define Group, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor, and also being a very trusted mod in here and a very, very vital admin. And the Telegram says, hey, everyone, hit that like on the way in, Consider subscribing and joining Tom's Army for the best technical analysis on YouTube. If you are not in the Telegram, you are missing out big time. I could not agree with that more. Missing out tremendously. And you know, my hair might be... I'm sick of the hat. I don't have sun in my eyes right now, fortunately, so I'm taking the hat off. But that's why I wear it. My left eye just can't tolerate sun because of the keratoconus. Let's see. Jorge, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6+ months with the XP Predictor, along with DJRC. Howdy, DJ. And Jorge, thanks for being a very trusted mod in here, and also a very, very, very important admin in the Telegram. Couldn't do it without you, my friend. Just send it. Thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens, and that is my face superimposed on that emoji badge. I should have put my big nose on there, or my bigger, even bigger forehead. Oh, actually, they both are in there, ironically. You might even be able to see it. Even that's fun. Trigger warning, welcome in. I love XLR, I own it. I like it. I think it's getting a second opportunity at XRP at these prices is the way that I label it to my audience. It's the way I label it to the audience. Especially if we were to break this formation. Imagine the opportunity if this came down in half. I mean, there's a building momentum, but it's still inverse head and shoulder formed. So it's going to take a little bit to just drop this out. But look at Epic right now. Epic had that big run up, but it never back tested. It's never back tested the lower formation. So there is that ability here for it to come all the way back through. Watch this. But if we just do this a slightly different way, right? Want to see the beauty of analysis when you start to see data points? See if you do a simply switch here, because we have more data now than we had before. A simple switch, and this is still very much bullish, right? It's just filling out the pattern at an early breakout. See? Then you can almost, instead of having all this micro bullshit, you can look at the micro macro style setup, reformulate, because that was the assessment if it would have broke out there. But now you can see the wider pattern. And if you go into like the weekly, it was better. You can see why we did it from here. The 3 hourly, you can see it perfectly. This should be up a little bit higher, which will matter coming down the road for the apex zone. Probably like that because it was a wick through. Makes more sense. And that's exactly how I would put this. In fact, you could use this as a third data point right here. Oh yeah, that looks great. Oh yeah, that's perfect. So then you see this, the apex point is August 21st. Short-term pattern falls out, you would eventually come back down here. If that were to fall out, because that still looks like a very bullish setup to me. Because it's not the inverse head and shoulders from right here. I know it seems like it should be, but sometimes this kind of stuff happens, folks, and that's why every pattern is slightly different. See this? I would dare say that's the left shoulder. Head, right shoulder in process. So, that's like a triple bottom as well. So just, unless it breaks through, that's a extremely bullish setup if it holds. However, if it breaks down, that is an extremely bearish breakdown. See what happens there? So just as much as it's extremely bullish right now for Epic, and Epic's only got like 30 million. I am rooting for this guy to come under $1. I am rooting. This is the one that Ripple invested in, and the uniqueness about this is it is a real-world asset, but it's actually the innovator, and it's, you can almost call it a beta because it's one of the first, maybe the first. It's trying to connect real-world assets with, like, institutions. Not trying, it can. And, like, just general transactions via a crypto not stablecoin, but a crypto token that's going to, you know, focus on real-world assets and the connectivity from business to real corporations and things like that. It's incredible. So when you start seeing things like that, you know, those are part of the sectors that I like to try to take advantage of personally. So, but it's got to hit my price point. When I first looked at it, it was at $1.95. And I thought it could come back down here, maybe even under $1. So I didn't buy it when it made this formation. Fortunately now, we'll see what happens here. And then we can look at it further. But that's just why that's why we stay involved. This is exactly why we stay involved. My God, this sector is just day after day, and today it's down a couple percent, but this section that nobody pays attention to on gold, silver, mining stocks has been printing in 25. It's been printing in 25 while crypto's been sideways and down. We got the early advantage in November when mining stocks were just getting hammered. And then by the time crypto rallied, that was exactly when the mining stocks bottomed. And that's when I sold out a lot of crypto to switch into the mining stocks at a very deep level. And that was a great decision. I have a very deep holdings again in crypto. It just, I was afforded the opportunity of watching it come down 70% after I sold my altcoins outside of XRP and XRP healthcare. And now I'm invested in a lot of stuff right now. What I seen today isn't going to make me sell. No. Where I wanted to sell was after that big rise up in November and January and waited out for a few months until we bottomed. And that's what I was able to do. Now, just we've seen a couple of great days in a row. Even with this drop, it doesn't zero it out what we've had the last couple of weeks. We just have been stuck in an area. And right now, Ethereum is it always is the gatekeeper. But is Ethereum going to actually come all the way down? And I want to clear, we've got all these areas, which are relevant. Coming up, they were relevant. Going down, they'll be relevant, which is why I keep them. But I feel like if we were to break down, obviously this is the first area where we look at. Right where we're at right now, the 4 hourly is a big area on the 20-day, which we're holding well, we're a little bit below. But if we held that, then we could start moving. But what I'm going to do today, because I think I can add a lot more value by doing one thing, I'm going to pay I'm going to do it on the air, for the trading view thing so that I can put 5 indicators and put 2 charts on the same chart so that we can do a deeper comparison. I'm going to do it for the good of the channel, not because I appreciate having to pay to do something I want to do, but I think it would add a lot of value to what I do. So I'm going to pay the $15.75 a month so that I can do the 5 indicators per chart and show you with the moving average convergence divergence, with the stochastic RSI, with volume, with the exponential moving averages, 20, 50, 100, 200. So you can start to learn, even from a more rookie standpoint, while you're learning the technicals, because don't you dare just rely on the actual indicators, which is why I hesitate to do this. I'll show you a deeper way to get confirmation if you already know what you're doing. Or if you don't know shit, an easier way to understand things with the way they're set up. And even with the 5th indicator, we're going to look for the money flow. So we'll look to see where the actual money flow is happening, in which areas. So I'll show you some cool things on there. And I made the decision that I would do it during this live. I don't know why during this live, but I made the decision. So I'm doing it right now. I already have it set up, so I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is type in my password. But I'll never tell you it. Then you might want to buy it under my name. Verify. All right. So I wonder if it's already going to have done it on here. Wait a minute. This is my actual. I better have updated it on here. There we go. You're essential. All right, I'm essential, guys. So now what I'm going to do, which one should I start it on? Let's see. Probably, I'll start it on the total 3, I think. But we'll go through this on the total 3. So right now, as you can see, I have 2 indicators. Exponential moving average, EMA, which is the 20, 50, 100, 200-day moving averages. I reference them a lot for the audience. But now I can do this. So MACD I would always have on here. If I was doing this in the past before they made them pay, I would always have moving average convergence divergence. I just think it's so important to see the way it's flowing. And right now the total 3 in the 4 hourly is flipped red. But I would encourage you to go into the monthly or the weekly where you can see that positive flow. Positive flow, okay? These small moments where it's going down, you've got to fundamentally understand, like, sometimes, just sometimes, what the hell just happened here? I don't want it that big. Oh, cool. They updated it at least a little bit from the way they had it before. Before, I couldn't do anything with these. However, I don't like how far up I pulled those, but because I hit it twice. But this is just some of the things you kind of emulate what I'm doing here, so that you can. But I just like the moving average convert for the one simple fact I want to see if we're having a positive or negative flow. And it does help. Now, it will take some of the size of the charts down, obviously. Now, I should be able to lower that. Beautiful. And then the only other thing, yeah, that's fine. I can make this much smaller. We can do some, yeah, you'll be able to see that at least. I just don't want to take up too much of the screen. So that's the moving average convergence, divergence. And you see the monthly, how it's flipping bullish. So macro view looks fantastic. And then total 3, fantastic. Weekly looks fantastic. Daily still looks great, even with today. 4 hourly is where it's a little red. 2 hourly is going to be real red. But this is what we want. Notice how we've fallen off the cliff now with the moving average, the MACD, in the shorter time frames, while the higher time frames are flipping to a extremely bullish level again. That's what we want. This is what we want. And then, so that's volume, EMAs, moving average convergence, divergence. So, the other one, and you can do relative strength index, but I would suggest, I would encourage, I would advise for you to put the stochastic RSI. Not just the RSI, but the stochastic. And then you can start to see these oversold and overbought areas in real time. I mean, you can see how in the monthly it flipped bullish here. So the stochastic flipped bullish in the monthly, bounced out of oversold and heading towards more of a neutral area. The blue is the trend line, the price trend. I don't believe this one needs to be nearly as big though. But that one, the price trend, or the price is the blue line. The trend line is the red or orangish line. Now, if you go into the weekly, you're overbought slightly, but still. If you bounce off of here, it's perfectly fine. You can bounce off support and stay there. Daily is overbought, but you're going to see a reshuffle when the daily candle closes. 4 hourly is bounced back down to oversold. So now in the smaller time frames, you are extremely oversold here with the stochastic. That's a bullish signal. Look how oversold we are on the stochastic right now. And it's a good way for me to balance. Wow, that's real low. That's a good way for me to balance the analysis that you're seeing and seeing the indicators back it up here. Like, that's something important to me, at least. You know, but I got to make sure that they're not taking up too much space. Like, we can see this. We don't need it to take up the whole damn screen. At least I don't. I can point it out with it just having a small part of the screen. So, but it's going to start to give us more validation into what we're seeing. So micro time frames, this is flipping very bullish again. MACD's falling off a cliff. The stochastic is very, very oversold in the smaller time frames. Drops down, it's oversold. Rises up, it's overbought. And then you'd want to see oversold in the smaller time frames to help a further push and help it bounce and stay in the overbought areas. That's when you can have significant bullish pushes, like substantial. So hopefully that doesn't confuse anybody, but good evening. 7:12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Thursday, August 14th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. And I would love to know what you guys think about me adding those indicators to kind of show you a further insight into how to see these markets in a different light. Because I know when I didn't know anything about these, I was wishing I could see it in real time. But it was just kind of something I noticed going back on and just looking at some things. I'm like, you know, I could do this and I could make it a lot easier for everybody since I do have the insight on what they are. So, Let's see. Crypto Cooter, AUB, and Papa Wheelie, welcome in and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor. Julie, he came out here, grabbed an Oreo, and walked back to his room. He tried to shut it, but it went back open. He was all excited trying to shut it, too. He looked at me, and it's like, okay. I was surprised because he just got his feeding. But hey, milk and cookies, right? But Jason, I, too, love band. You know, and I've done my due diligence, trying to further look at. But anyhow, Jay said, welcome in. Man and his dog, welcome in. Thanks for being in Times Army for over 1 year at the I Told You So badge. Roberto, good evening. Alex Carbonelli, welcome in. Thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. James Dula, welcome in. Never would I yell at you, but everybody else might. Good evening, Jason. Devin, good evening, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the XRP 589 Moon badge. And thank you so much for being a very trusted mod, my friend. Very, very trusted mod. In here in the lives, I greatly appreciate it. Road less traveled, patterns not invalidated yet. Today's movement good for macro. Absolutely. Would I buy anything here? Yeah. I mean, if you're looking to get longer on something, a few of them actually. A few of them. Personally, I looked at band to get longer on, but I'm gonna, obviously I'll wait it out after the stream, and then I'll make the decision. But I'm gonna get longer on band. In the micro, you're going to see a lot of movement where it's oversold big time. So, yeah, long. Oh, yeah, long. If that filled, because I put it at 65.2 before I started the live. So it was at, or not 65.2. What was it at? I didn't mark. Oh, it already did bounce around. We were outside with T. Let me check. I don't know. I might have actually filled that order. I don't want to lie and say I only have 5,000 band if I doubled it. It did fill. I have 10,017 band. So yeah, I doubled my holdings of band, and if it goes down, I'm going to continue to pour in. I have a feeling with band, but if this pattern gets completely invalidated, would I hesitate selling it at 60? I don't know. I haven't made that decision yet. I haven't made the decision yet, but if this is invalidated, there is the potential. Let's just say this gets lost, right? And it falls through and invalidates that thesis. There is a very strong chance I might get rid of it until 50 cents. It's dangerous, but there would be a reason why. Because an invalidation here wouldn't be good. But I'm going to give it all the way down to here with adding additional shares here. So, this is a strategy I teach everybody. And then you can always sell it if it breaks the formation. It's just, we had bought before the rise up, and now it's like, now that we have an opportunity here, the 15% pullback. Yeah, so that's where I went there. So yes, actually I did. But as far as, let's see, we've seen that the total 3 was oversold in the smaller time frames, right in that lower overbought area on the consolidation back test and the higher time frames. However, in the weeklies, they were just flipping a very, what was it, the weekly or the monthly? I think it was one of the higher time frames. Might have been the monthly.
Can you wait a minute, sir?
So yeah, the weekly flip back bullish here. I mean, the monthly flip back bullish. Moving average convergence divergence very bullish. The weekly is a little overbought, but it's still flipped positive in the moving average convergence divergence. So there's a chance it could stay up in this area and just keep powering. Like right now, it all depends if that's a flag there, because it looks like a nice inverse head and shoulders on a cup and handle there. So if this holds, I mean, we could very much see some very nice movement here in the total daily, or the daily time frame, even though we have somewhat of a pull down here. But we are back testing a much more significant move here. So we're looking to hold the $1 trillion mark in real time. We're looking to hold $1 trillion in real time. So, there's absolutely opportunity here, 100%. Road less traveled, welcome in. And you're right about the not invalidated, absolutely. Joseph Euler, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for 6+ months with the XP Predictor, along with Amanda. Thank you both so much. Maritime Mac, good evening. Sorry late to this, but what is going on with XRP? Typical operating procedure. Some people are so mad at XRP, but you got to remember, I've said this so many times. XRP is already 10x from its low, from its bear market. So it's so far out in front. What's happening is at the price it's at, you know, the early investors aren't buying it at $3. I don't care what anybody says. Everybody who wanted to buy XRP was buying it much, much cheaper. The institutions are not buying it at $3 if they weren't buying it at 50 cents. I can assure you that. They were already getting in off the books. And if you're waiting for the institutions to push the price up, you're screwed. Because we already know, and it was redacted, so we got confirmation in the lawsuit, and I read through it, 100 and something pages, the official documents, that the bigger players don't buy on the exchanges like retail. We already know that for a fact. We don't even need to debate it with XRP anymore. Institutional buying is not going to raise the prices on exchanges the way everybody thinks. We got that confirmation already, so I don't even know why we fight about it anymore. I don't know why people dismiss it so easily when I say it. We seen it in the redaction. They wouldn't tell us the exact amount. Remember, I was pissed because it confirmed that retail versus institutions and companies and banks and all that were paying a different price than us. If we were paying $1, they were paying probably pennies. If we're paying $3, they're probably paying pennies. Like, get with the, you know, you got to get with the times. That's known stuff now. People don't talk about it, but it's known. And I don't sugarcoat things. So whether or not you believe me or not, go through all those pages and then, you know, come back and tell me I'm wrong. Kelly Madison, welcome in. Papa Wheelie, it is a beautiful setups if they hold. And thanks for being in Towns Army over 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Alex Tony, welcome in, and thanks for being in Towns Army over 3 months with the XP Meteor. Syrian, welcome in, and thanks for being a very trusted mod in here and in the Telegram, very influential. And thank you for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year. I appreciate that so much, Syrian. Nunya, welcome in. You're welcome, Dan. You're a welcome friend, and I appreciate you being in the Army for the first month, so thank you as well. McMichael, welcome in. Crypto market cap still holding above 4 trillion. Indeed it is, and thanks for being in Towns Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor. And we can go into the total market cap. Well, now it's at 3.95. But we can go into this with, you know, the flow as well. Look at the daily time frame, moving average convergence divergent, flipped bullish. You know, we are a little oversold with the stochastic in the daily. But, you know, I mean, overbought, but it doesn't necessarily break down here. Sometimes you stay in that area while the bull market happens. So we'll see what happens. Weekly overbought. Monthly flip bullish, however, and got through the neutral area. So that's where we're having the divergence here. The monthly is showing a very bullish setup. The moving average convergence divergence has been riding that support structure. So we'll see if we can hold this from a monthly perspective or if the shorter time frames are going to start to eat us alive. You know, that's something we're going to have to watch going forward. Either way, whether or not, and I've been saying this for probably 2 or 3 months and people are probably sick of it. Whether alt season starts now or we have to wait to Q1 of 2026 for it to finally get into its big push like I've been talking about. Like, we could do all of this and still not have the big bang until early 26, and that's okay. I prefer to have it now, but I keep enlightening saying this is what could happen. We could drag our feet, you know, with the altcoins a little bit. And yeah, Ethereum's doing great, but you got the way money flows in the alt season starts with Bitcoin going parabolic. Dominance is out of control. Slowly flips into Ethereum garnering the money, and at some point along the way, the Bitcoin dominance starts to drop unanimously, and the money flows more into Ethereum than Bitcoin. And that's starting to happen. The next diversion is the Bitcoin dominance needs to go down. In my opinion, we have to break down and get through this area, 56.9%, in order to break down. And once we break through, and I'll put this out here, you will know alt season is officially on track. Like, from an official standpoint, when we break right here and don't double bottom. Once that percentage breaks, it's alt season, baby. There's no doubt about it. And it's going to leave us to a clear breakdown of that rising channel. And you come down to the bottom of the pattern. And you can see the uptrends at 42.9% on this all-time bearish pennant for Bitcoin. So even though we don't talk about this every day, it's still here. This is all here. All of it. And look at that negative flow right now in the weekly in Bitcoin. Very negative flow, but the stochastic is massively oversold right now in the weekly in Bitcoin dominance. The monthly is neutral, so this could be a recipe for a little bit of a Bitcoin could cook versus some other things still at times. Daily looks like it's trying to flip back into, trying to get back into the action. 4 hourly is pushing up very steadily. Be interesting to see what happens here with Bitcoin dominance. Be very interesting to see. But this, I think, either way, we should get some kind of bounce back on tomorrow's candle. It was just a big drop. So now even if we have a further drop down, we're going to have to validate that drop. So, if you're not leverage trading, you shouldn't even care about today's drop. You should actually be embracing it. I noticed in the Telegram, fortunately, there wasn't as much leverage talk today because most of the leverage talkers ate their hats today. They didn't get to eat it. It got stolen. They were robbed by market manipulators because when you get candles and things like that happen, it don't matter how good of a trader you are. That's why they say if you trade even 1x and you are a swing trader, which means you're not an accumulator, you're not investing, but you're trading every few percent gain to try to rebuy back in lower to redo it or find the next deal. After 100 days, 95% of people lose money. After 300 days, 98% of people have lost money. Most of them liquidated, mind you, because they end up doing it with leverage. The moment you hit 2x or higher, you 85% lose on day one. The longer you go, it goes up to 99 point something percent. So if you think you can beat the statistic, good luck. But even I acknowledge I can't beat the statistic, and I look at all the knowledge I have. Because over time, you're going to get absolutely annihilated. Annihilated. Because of days like today. There's simply no way around it. And a spot trader's like, oh my God, look at this opportunity. Look at some of these that are setting up. The leverage trader's saying, oh my God, I just lost. And I don't want to go deeper into it, but, when you got the 80-20 portfolio split by leveraging some of your tokens, and then all of a sudden you just have 80% left, and that 20% is gone forever. And now you got to build up that 80%, and the first 20% you make is just to refill that bag. Actually, it costs you more because you're missing that 20% to build off of. And then you get whole, and you're like, okay, that was a big learning experience. Or some people do 50-50, and then all of a sudden they find themselves, they lose 50% of that other 50, and now they end up portioning away some of their spot even more to try to win it back. And then when all else fails, they go from 5 to 10 to 15 to 30 to 60. After all, if I can get the same amount of tokens for higher leverage, it's not bad, right? Wrong, because now you can lose it all. And it happens. You activate the gambling part of your brain and you've already lost. Let's see. Well, it's very possible to drop 10 or even more percent across the board. Do you remember yesterday, the day before, I said it's great while we're going up, but how many people are going to be, and this is why I kept talking against leverage, how many are still going to be here when we get that unexpected 15 to 30% drop? Everything is going to look great, and then all of a sudden across the board, as if it's a manipulated punch, they all simultaneously drop. And today was a big 15% on some, 10% on others. Like Band was over 15, Dent was like 13, GRT was well over 10. And the graph, that's one that I need to talk about more because it's a significant IoT token. Not on the same levels as IOTA, but pretty damn close. So, and I put Theta up there because going down 9%, it's back on the watch board. It's back on the watch board. And then especially if it comes all the way back down here, it's significantly on the watch board. But I don't know if it will, because in the short term, what I'm noticing here in the short term, we know, and this is what I was talking about in the title, XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum, crypto liquidations. And the other news is they topped $1 billion today across crypto. Longs were liquidated by over $1 billion. And I'll show you another key stat where there's $2.02 billion of liquidations on Ethereum. So don't frown, everybody. Be very excited about this opportunity. If I was very bearish, wouldn't I come in here and dash your dreams, punch you in the nuts, and ruin your day? Am I ruining your day today, or am I giving you a lot of hope? Notice this inverse head and shoulders in the micro. That inverse head and shoulders that was validated on the drop today is also the inverse right shoulder on a much larger inverse head and shoulders. So now, much like Inception, and we talked about this yesterday on VeChain, but much like Inception, you have inverse head and shoulders. Wait a minute. Actually, inverse head and shoulder. I went too far. Inverse head and shoulders. And on the left shoulder, you have inverse head and shoulder. The head, inverse head and shoulders. The inverse right shoulder created another inverse head and shoulders. They often say when a pattern is going to play out, they often say when patterns play out, they replicate within the overall analysis. And can we start seeing inverse head and shoulders playing out? That means eventually that inverse head and shoulder is going to play to fruition on all of these. And that's everywhere. This is theta, but they are everywhere. It's not just theta, they are everywhere. So when you start seeing that and you start to look at it for real, it's like, is this really going to be the end of it? Or is this really, and I don't like the word shakeout. Shakeout, I think, they're trying to shake us out. Well, like we're a fucking puppet? No, they're not trying. They're trying to get liquidity. Liquidity is a lot different than shaking somebody out, folks. They couldn't give a rat's ass if the retail's shaking out. I hate to break it to all of you, but we don't account for enough money for it to matter. Even if they shook us out, what does it matter? We account for less than 1% of the real trading. I believe it comes down to that to this day. Isn't it less than 1%? We can't even equal 1% of an institution. Think about it. MicroStrategies alone with Bitcoin outweighs probably every single retail person who trades crypto, who's considered retail. Retail, you're not retail when you hit a certain level of investing. We're talking about you have to hit a certain category to be the average retail investor. So I don't think they really care. I've been saying this for years. They give us breadcrumbs, and I think they get off on the fact that 99% of people blame them for things, while all they're doing is showing us the exact thing they're doing, except they have more money than we have. So by definition, if I was a billionaire, wouldn't you guys be like, oh, that scumbag, right? Automatically, you'd say, oh, this guy's getting ahead because he's rich, not understanding that you had to get the wealth from somewhere. And in America, over 90% of millionaires are not born rich. In fact, they're born below or at the poverty line. I know it's a statistic everybody hates to acknowledge, but it's the truth. So if you want to be part of that statistic and one of the 90% that actually becomes a millionaire when they were piss poor when they were born, for that matter, you can be part of that statistic. You can. It's either 85 or 90%. But I believe that they're not trying to shake us out. The only thing they're trying to shake out is liquidity. It's different. They're not looking at XRP Future Millionaire saying, let's shake this son of a bitch out, Tom. Let's shake Tom out. Or let's shake out the fine. Or look at Screech in there. Let's shake him out. We don't want Screech in the crypto, damn it. Get him out. Doesn't that defeat the purpose? Don't you need liquidity to move the market? So you tell me they don't want our liquidity? They don't want us to buy to move it up? Come on now, guys. You've been played like a fucking fiddle. You have been played like a fiddle. Hell, that's why you pit crypto against gold and silver, right? I'm not buying that shit. Crypto's the new gold and silver, damn it. XRP's gold. All this other bullshit I hear every single day. This is what we do. But if you understand the bigger game, you're going to understand what's going on. And I can assure you, if you watch me long enough, as long as they don't ban me, and it's been 4.5 years, and my warning comes off on August 30th, so I've essentially been a good boy, but I still say some stupid things. So anyhow, if you stay through this, you're going to understand. If you leave, one day you're going to come back. It happens almost unanimously. People leave and they're like, this guy's an asshole. Something happens that validates what I'm saying. Like, oh, shit. I wish I would have listened. I wish I would have just stayed there. Every action has a reaction. Every non-action has a consequence of the unknown and the possibility. Now, I'm not saying you take a step that's unwarranted, because every bad decision and every bad step also comes with a reaction and a consequence. You see, it's the same thing, just in a different way. They all come with a consequence. They all have a reaction, and you all have the ability to make that decision first. The decision I made to first get into the position I'm at right now is I'm simply not going to deal with debt anymore. I'm a failure at 30 years old. I have too much credit. Too much on my credit cards, too much debt. I can't afford to even pay my bills without going into debt. And I was with Julie. I just got with Julie, and she had 2 kids, very young. Scarlett was 1, about to be 2, and Michaela was just about to be 7. And now 11 years later, you know, it was that one decision where I'm like, I got to go back to work even with a broken back. And then I started doing a job I shouldn't have done, but I still went back to work, started making a relatively decent income. And then I was able to start learning the charts, and it took a while. Bad mistakes in the beginning, but it was that one action you start to tell yourself, today can be your action when you come in here. You don't leave. You say, I'm going to listen to this guy, I'm going to play it back, and I'm going to listen to what he's saying today, because between the indicators I showed you, between the inverse head and shoulders, within the inverse head and shoulders, within the inverse head and shoulders, like, what are we in Inception?
He may or may not have sharp shaking.
Yeah, he's going to be tired. And in fact, he played outside now. It was great. He was out there over an hour after a 5-hour car ride and playing outside before.
Oh, Ghost is here.
Yes. Hold on, guys. I've been waiting for my kitty. Ghost.
Come on, Ghost.
Come here, Ghost. Hi, buddy.
Oh, it's okay.
Come here, buddy. I've been waiting for you,
I
kitty.
didn't tell the girl. So they don't know. She looks good.
I was worried about you, Ghost. Come here, kitty. Here, hi, buddy. Here
Ghost just peeking.
you go, kitty. Let me get you some food.
So you don't have to worry.
I know I was worried. Were the girls worried? I mean, we know Ghost can't always leave something back. Good kitty. Here you go, kitty. Yeah, I know you're hungry.
You're okay, Ghost. You're a little skittish, huh? I don't blame you.
I kind of shot out of the rocket.
Well, it's like every movement she's a little nervous.
Oh, she's been outside.
Yeah, I don't blame her.
I'm gonna give you that one.
She looks
Ghost.
good though.
Yeah, I'm gonna give her this
She's not-
one
She
too.
walked in on
I'm gonna give her a straight too, Julie. Did you turn the air down? Because it was at 72 when you left.
it was at 71.
Oh, good.
I turned it to 70.
Oh, good. Even better. Sorry, everybody. You know how I feel about my kitty. Ghost, you want a treat?
I'm glad you came back, lady.
Me too. How I feel about it. That was the only thing I was worried about.
That's why I kept going outside. Just trying to finish.
That's why I opened the blinds right there so I could look. All right, so Ghost, before we left, she did not want to come inside. And you guys know she likes being an outdoor kitty. So she was outside for 3 days while we were gone, which she doesn't care. She likes it. So, you know, we were just waiting for her to come back because she hangs around the house and around the neighborhood. That's the kind of cat she is. But she's almost 8 years old now, so she's been doing this for a while. So now she's back eating, very happy. Let's see. Something I forgot. Let's see. Hope this bumpy road down. Sorry guys, I gotta go all the way down to the bottom so I can catch. Let's see. It's all an illusion. MXC might be breaking out. Yeah, I'm not going to look at MXC right now, just only because I want to keep it on the same narrow path that I have to have. But also, I just can't deal with buying stuff on crypto.com. I just can't do it. Yeah, Scott Bessent, came out and said that they're not going to... I told you guys, Bitcoin's going to end up being the biggest Ponzi ever known. But yeah, margin. This was a margin killer today. It's all an illusion says that's what I try to tell people. Institutions are not trying to sucker other institutions. When retail is fully in, we will know the 7-Eleven guy will give Tom investment. Exactly. Remember why? Oh my God, it's all an illusion. You remember why I sold, remember? In December and January, the final confirmation I got to sell 75% of my crypto, which was all my altcoins. Everything else I owned and was left, as it turned out now, was XRP and XRP Healthcare. Now I have a bunch back. And it's funny how this happened. So for 2 years, I'm trying to tell this 7-Eleven guy that XRP, buy it. And I tried to give him every reason why to buy that, or at least buy. And I don't like Bitcoin, but I said, you can even buy Bitcoin if you want. But I suggest XRP. And he's blah, blah, blah. So all this time goes, and all of a sudden XRP legitimately was up 9x. Bitcoin legitimately was about to pop 100,000. I walk into the store to get Julie stuff like I always do once or twice a week. See the same guy for now it's been like 4 years. And, you know, this is like 2.5 years after I'm trying to tell him when the market finally, or 3 years, it finally starts to move. And I come in one day when Bitcoin's at about 100K and XRP's at 340. And he goes, hey, have you heard about Bitcoin? How it's the new gold and it's going to go to 1 million. He's like, I just bought Bitcoin for the first time. I go, are you out of your fucking mind at 100K? We didn't even have any pullback yet. Like, all this time, and then he asked me if I knew what XRP was, and I'm sitting there stunned. Hello, good sir, I'm XRP Future Millionaire. Nice to meet you. I have 20... But I don't talk about who I am anywhere, so people don't really know. But he knew because I told him. And he was struggling and all this stuff. I'm trying to give him... I even told him, take $10 a week out of what you make here. Just $10. That's $40 a month. And do it every single day until we have a breakout in XRP. Hell, if you want Bitcoin, just keep doing that. And he would have had 2 years of accumulation, $40 a week, $160 a month. I'm being dead serious. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but that's like $1,900 a year. Over 2 years, or 3 years he actually had, but we'll just say 2. That's about $4,000. 10xing $4,000 would have got him 40. And this guy struggles, right? So $10 a day could have turned into 40 grand after 2 years of investing. Didn't matter where he bought it because XRP stayed between fractional amounts for fucking all 3 years. Bitcoin was basically bottomed out in the mid-teens and then worked its way back up from like 15,000 during that time. This guy could have had it cooked. And then he has the audacity to ask me if I know what XRP is or did I invest in Bitcoin. I go, excuse me, sir. I invested in all of this. And then he's like, where did you buy XRP? And when I told him, he's like, I don't believe you. Yeah, that's what everybody says. How could you believe that I actually would have invested at 34 cents, you cocksucker? Or how could you believe that you would invest in it at 100,000 when I told you to invest in Bitcoin at 25 on average? Like, so once I heard that, I told everybody, I go, listen, guys, it's not just what I'm seeing on the chart, but I have to sell. And I said this, and the very next day I sold 75%. I said the local shoe salesman, like they said back in the day, you know it's time to sell when the local shoe shiner tells you what to buy. I had that same instant. The gas station attendant was telling me what to buy when for 3 years he told me it was garbage. That's all you need to know. When the average person comes on YouTube and TikTok, especially social media, and starts to push it, you're screwed. That's what's, remember on TikTok, I said, I've never seen so many people telling me where XRP is going to go. Where the hell were all these people when it was actually a good buy? I don't believe it's ever going to be a good buy until it goes back down. Even if it goes to $100 a token, I don't believe it's a good buy here. Let's say it goes to $10 and you make 300%. Do you know how many tokens I could show you in that same time frame XRP gets to $9 that are going to go up thousands, or at least give you 5 times more return than XRP is going to give you in that same time? I'm just saying, I'm just telling you based on where they're at and the number you have to buy XRP at. For us at 34 cents and move to $9, we're going to shit ourselves. 3,400 is going to be 90 grand. But for you, if you drop 5 grand in right now, it's only going to turn into 15 to where you could take that 5 and buy something else. Because let's face it, if everything else is going down, so is XRP from here. It's just the way it goes. It may not be the hardest hit, but it's still going to go down. So some people are like, well, I don't want to buy that. What if XRP? You've already missed that boat. Like, are you seriously going to sit here and tell me you think XRP is a better deal at 308 than IOTA under 20 cents? Like, is that where we're going to go now? Because I think a lot of people believe that XRP is legitimately the only game in town. It's not. It was the only game in town when I was telling everybody to focus on it. Because I firmly believe that it could rally and put us in a spot where we could use the money. And if you wanted to be ballsy, you could flip it out after you 10x it. I guaranteed my audience 3,500 to 35,000. You did a little bit better. You got the 36,000. And I hate making guarantees because you look like an asshole if they don't pan out and nobody knows how long they're going to take. But it happened. And you know, we did our due diligence here. So now we're looking for it to happen again in different assets while XRP continues to appreciate. We got lucky. We got to buy 2 extensive bags 2 years apart. 34 cents in 22 and 3, 38 cents in, what was it, June or July of 24. 3 months before. So everybody's like, I didn't get the chance. 3 months before the breakout, you had 38 cents. Or 2 months before, you had the chance. Everybody I seen complain when it went all the way up to 90 cents and said, I wish I would have bought it where you did. They didn't buy it at 38. They watched me buy a second bag of $5,000 worth and didn't do anything. 99% of people thought I was crazy for buying that second one. Hey, it just came down 70%. You're just going to buy a bag right there. I thought you don't buy it higher than your other one. Hit the uptrend at 38. Is 38 really that much higher than 34? No. Is 75? Yes. Is 65? Yes. Is 47? Yes. 38 is splitting hairs, folks. Oh my God, my average went from 34 to 36. Big freaking deal. Sometimes you're playing semantics here. So, but that extra $5,000 turned into, I'll never say the official amount, but it turned into a lot. I think on average about 8.5x is what it was sold for, on average. So some was way up at the top, some was a little bit lower. And then I kept my original 34-cent bag. So, that's how you got to do it, Alec Tony. You keep your side bag. And you hold on to it until it gets to where you want to go. If you understand what you want to do, like I never thought one time to sell when XRP was going 34 to 90, back to 40, back to 80, back to what's the point? Because then it's that one time you miss it, and I'd rather just get all the returns. So that's the philosophy I have right now. Opportunity when it calls. Opportunity when it calls. Ban opportunity called. I bought more. If it calls again, I'll buy more. If it tells me the opportunity has run out and we invalidate the structure, well, I'm going to listen. If this gets invalidated, I'll simply buy it back here. As long as it invalidates here, every non-action, if it doesn't break out and go to this next tier, which it probably should, would have a negative reaction. So let's say it doesn't hold here and come out and do something more extended, comes through and it's showing signs, I'm out. And then I'll buy it back here. And then you'd have 1, 2, and then you might have that potential again, but we'll see. Because I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. Like H-bar, but I think the right buy was under 10. Anything over better asset. Yes! 100%. Does everybody remember where we bought H-bar? And yeah, we've swing traded it, but got it back, with a significant savings. But we were buying it at 5 cents as a community. Between 4.7 and 5.2 cents in 23 on FOMO Friday and Winning Wednesdays when I broke my hands and fucked up my orbital loan when somebody, basically hit me on my electric bike. And I've never rode it since. I just walk now. But yeah, we were doing that all summer because I couldn't do anything. All summer into the early winter. We were doing that with H-bar, Algo, XLM, Casper. There were so many of them we did that with. But yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Just like XLM, I don't think the time to buy it's at 41 cents. I think that was at 10 cents or 15 cents. I really do. Anything under 20 cents, I think, was the time for XLM. But thinking if we're only going to go to a dollar, whatever, I see my opportunity right now. Crypto Cooter, wouldn't you agree that if you're looking for opportunity, would you rather buy H-bar, XRP, or IOTA if you're looking for opportunity? And you can answer honestly if you don't like IOTA, if you like H-bar, if you don't like the others. But if you're looking opportunity-wise, there's only one of the three that makes sense. Even between XLM, H-bar, and IOTA, there's only one that makes sense in the part of the rotation they're in. Sure, you can 3 or 4x XLM. You might 2 or 3x initially H-bar. But you're looking for something different with IOTA. Because of where it's at, you're looking at... I didn't want to say it because people will be like, oh, this guy's crazy. Chuck, H-bar, I disagree. But everybody is entitled to their own opinion. H-bar... Let's just fact for fact. H-bar, great token. All-time high sits right here around 58 cents, we'll call it. Beautiful pattern setup, and if we run the numbers and we run it out in a formulation, $1.12 is what we're looking for. If this plays out into a cup into the future, we measured the depth of the cup, and then we made a target, right? That gets us up to about $1.12. the same simulation that we run, and maybe it goes way higher, right? We run the same, and Algo's another great one. Yes, game changer. Algo is in the same. Algo game changer said Algo, and so did Ryan. Yes, those are both. And in my opinion, and ETFs are going to come from all. That doesn't really mean much to me, as much as it used to. ETFs are going to be like fucking getting handed out a candle for your birthday. So, if you look at this, from where it's at, you're talking about, you play this out at $7.45. But I'm not selling H-bar. I have H-bar. Over 10,000. I'm not going to get rid of them. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying if you haven't bought yet. So. But yeah, no. IOTA's eventually going to, and it's not even listed on a lot of exchanges either. Wait till they finally get it listed on some of these exchanges. But the capacity here, if we run it out into the future, is $7.45 for IOTA. That's a huge difference in potential compared to H-bar. Algo, if you run the numbers, oh no, that was Algo. IOTA's at, oh, this is the wrong IOTA chart. Let me pull up my other IOTA chart. Which now I can have both, because now I can have way, way more. And don't worry, I know which one it is. Here, now I can have a bunch of charts again. Usually I paid the $15 a month. Trading View. So I could be more in depth. So IOTA capacity is $10.87 if you run the same simulation that we ran on H-bar. Just forming their cups for them. But remember, H-bars come up from 4 cents. Okay? So from 25, it doesn't seem like a lot, but H-bar going from 4 cents to $1.18 is insane. Frankie bought 16,000 algo at 26 cents today. Is it a good buy? I mean, in time, it's going to be a great buy. In the micro, nobody knows. Nobody knows. You know, in the macro, I think it's an excellent buy. In the micro, well, it's in an inverse head and shoulders in the weekly. Let's see what we're looking at here. Because I'm going to have to go here. I just realized how late it is, and my son has had a long travel day. We all have, so I want to make sure I give him a little bit of attention here. But in the weekly, algo is a little neutral here. We flipped very bullish here, though, in the moving average convergence divergence. We're just cooled off a little bit from the initial push up. The stochastic is overbought. It just slipped back into a bearish trend in the weekly as it fell below the trend line. But I dare say that's probably a bull flag back testing that nice V-shaped recovery. So, and it's got an inverse pattern set up that it's probably back testing. Monthly for algo, flip bullish. It started flipping green again, bounce off the trend, started flipping bullish in the monthly perspective too in the stochastic from out of neutral. That's a great sign. Shorter time frames are going to have cleared out today. They're oversold in the smaller time frames, big time oversold. So, but with algo, massive inverse head and shoulders on the wider scale. So unless Frankie, unless you invalidate it at 22.4 cents, it's a great buy. It's a great buy. Even into the future, it'll be a great buy, but you might have to sit through it, is all. But if this inverse head and shoulders plays out, you basically bought it as low as you're going to buy it, coming up to like, what would this be? I know you can come all the way down to like 24.6 maybe. Maybe if you push the narrative 23.6, but that's kind of pushing it. But you bought it on this inverse right shoulder that was formed. And this is confirmation that I was talking about. Left shoulder, head. This double bottom, if it holds, that could be the ultimate, that ultimate confluence here for that inverse head and shoulders. So yeah, it could be. Now if this turns out to be a bear flag and we end up coming down here and then we reverse, well yeah, Obviously, you could have bought it cheaper, but as long as we don't invalidate this pattern, you don't have to worry about a farther drop. Now, if we invalidate this, you might take the opportunity and say, I bought it early. I'll wait for the technical drop around 17.3. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but maybe that's where you'd find yourself. So, Chuck says he trusts me with Algo and IOTA. Yeah, well, if it makes you feel any better, Chuck, I own 40,000 tokens each of IOTA and Algo. And I'm not looking to sell them. I'm only looking to get longer, if that makes you feel any better. And yeah, I know, even if the market cuts 50%, you know, I've been buying IOTA and Algo and doing what I need to do since like 10 cents and 8 cents. And it's been making me some nice amounts, even when I had to sell out at the top a little bit higher. You know, when I sold my altcoins back in January, these are ones that I've made a stout effort now that they've been hitting these lower levels to buy back in at significant savings, you know, after having significant profits already off of them. So I very much like Algo and IOTA. And I really do. So, but that's what I'm saying. Don't get frustrated with this market. Doesn't everybody remember 21 what happened? We made a big rally and then we kept breaking back down and kept pushing up and breaking back down. The only difference here is XRP decided to rally in front of the rest of these. 21 XRP was one of the last. It waited and waited and waited. And then it did it in 8 days to hit the peak. This is different. The rest of them are waiting. The rest of them are waiting. So that's it, everybody. It's been an hour. I'm blessed that you are all here. I love Polygon. Whoever asked me about POL, which used to be Matic, I love it. In fact, I'm going to put it on the list. That can be on the list. It used to be on the list, and it being back in the mid, it was at the mid to low 20-cent range. It's a big one for digital ID. They created the Poly ID, which is like Digi ID, which is basically they're helping push the markup de-based. So, yeah, they're one of those guys that are going to help screw us over in the long run. But like I say, you might as well invest in those guys that are going to screw you over because, you know, their technology is going to last. So, right here, if this doesn't hold, which it might not, you'd come down here and fill out the inverse right shoulder down. Right now, you can have the elevated. So you could have left shoulder, head, right shoulder. And it's like Inception. Right? So you can either say it back here, but I'd probably say left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Right? So now you create an inverse head and shoulders, potentially even an elevated one, or come down and has to form it within a much larger inverse head and shoulders. Right now, I am buying IOTA on BitUnix in the future market, the futures, but I only buy it at 1x. So it's just like holding a spot position. I just can't send it off of BitUnix, which I'm okay with because they use Fireblocks, so I know my assets are being stored in a custodial wallet. So it's all good. But I only buy 1x. I do not trade leverage of any capacity, 2x or higher. Just a rule I have. I used to, but I will never do it again. So, yeah. So that's it, everybody. Be blessed. In the comments, you can find BitUnix if you so choose. If you want to join the Telegram, I encourage you guys. If you want to know more, we're also building a position together in VeChain. I'll be doing more together. But if you want to know more about all of that and all the stuff we do, make sure you join Tom's Army and you'll have exclusive access to the Telegram. It used to be without being in Tom's Army. We got up to 375 people, and it just because it was becoming too much. And we had to get rid of some of the spammers. And there's still spammers and people who try to, you know, imitate who I am to try to steal your guys' collateral and crypto. JW, what's up, my friend? So blessed to see you here as always. Busy brother with work, Tom on vacation, times didn't align. Glad to be here. I'm so glad you're here, JW. But you can become a part of this. Shows all my content links. You can talk to JW there as well. Crypto, the group trading we've got in here. Okay, so that's talking about the group trading. So define the answer to that. We got the technical lounge with Nick. He's a very trusted mod in here and in the Telegram, but he's also our technical advisor. and he's got a whole section with just everybody he talks to, and it's becoming a growing thing. It's awesome. Oh, I forgot to share. Shit. I wanted to show that Ethereum. Oh, I have it in my Telegram. Ha! So if you're in the Telegram, you can see this too. The Ethereum, I think I might have put it in my pager one as well. Nope, I didn't. I just put it in the community hub. Sometimes I do that. So where's this at? 546. We get a lot of people talking. I love it. Then I talked about ban there. All right, right here. So I said, look at the bright side. So Ethereum liquidations, and this is why you stay until the end. Ethereum liquidation for the long liquidator or the short liquidations, when it gets to 4,872, there will be a cumulative short liquidation on leverage of 2.04 billion total. Some of the higher ones, you know, you see right now are Binance, OKX, and Bybit. But total of the shorts, if we hit 4,872, will be 2.04 billion. You think they're going to leave that leverage on the table? Does that make you guys feel any better? Does that research make you feel any better that I just gave you? I think so. That might make some of you feel better. XRP Lemur, thank you so much for the $4.99 donation. And also being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Said once again, thank you for what you do, brother. Hey, you don't know why you misspelled everything, but look how it is when I do my updates on my lives. Half the time the words are misspelled. I'm sure I could find one in here too. But sometimes it's insane. No, I understand what you're saying. I misspell everything. So I can read it easily. But yeah, thank you, everybody. Hopefully you take into account what I'm saying. Watch this back a few times. And I hope to see you in the Telegram. And if you are in Tom's Army, or if you join Tom's Army, all you have to do is go into YouTube. And nobody joined today, so I didn't share the link today. But post, and you'll see the link to the Telegram. And you'll be able to get into this. If you like what we do here, and you want to be a part of this outside of just the YouTube, want to be a deeper part of the community, it's incredible. And if you want to join and then cancel Tom's Army after you get the link, I'm not going to kill you. I do appreciate the ones who pay it forward, and we've had members for over 4 years that have been paying it forward in Tom's Army. But I'm not going to kill you if you do that. If it's an extenuating circumstance and you want to be in there, reach out to me or Defined or somebody within chat and here even. And if you're being legitimate, we've got a few people in there that financially, some moms, some dads have hit hard times, but they really want to learn, so they're in there. I'm never going to say who it is. For all you know, I could be that person. So, you know, there are exceptions to every rule. So, and then we got all this stuff. PagerX is very important. I put every morning what I think is going to happen. It basically took over for the daily setup section that was just XRP. But in the mornings, I've been going over, and I think I'm going to flip out XDC. And it's not because I don't like it. It's going to be XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the total 3 every morning instead of XDC. XRP because this is our community. XRP Future Millionaire. Bitcoin and Ethereum because they're the other 2 big dogs. And then the total 3 because it's all the crypto money and all of the crypto setup outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum. So since we're doing XRP, Bitcoin, and Ethereum, now I can do every other crypto besides Bitcoin and Ethereum within the total 3. You see what I'm saying? And then this was the ban setup I talked about. And I said my suggestion, I'll do a better job talking about it, but ban 164.27 million max supply. Coin Glass or Coin, all the other ones are, if you look on Google, this is why I can't trust Google. It says it's 100 million. It is not. If you look deeper, it says 164.27 million is their total supply or their max supply. They have 164 million in circulation, and in their roadmap or their white papers, it says it's supposed to be exhausted by 25, which looks like it's going to be. It's not specifically an IoT token, but it can be utilized in the same way as an IoT token, but it is also a data oracle, which is in layman terms, or layman's means it allows a way for blockchain to access external data from smart contracts, and it can provide data for anything, which is why it isn't a IoT token. So it can go from gaming to sporting to anything. It can be a hub for, it can do any of it. So which is why it isn't a IoT token, as IoT tokens are specifically for the needs of an IoT applications. Hidden gem with minimal supply and with the setup getting much longer with this gift drop, which I have because I showed you it filled my, but that's where I talked about it. But this can technically fill out until like 2028, which is interesting. So we got time. It looks like, well, we don't know when it's going to finally reverse, but we seem to have time. But I got to go. Be blessed, everybody.